Welcome to the Be Empowered podcast with your host, Graham Hopkins. My goal is to help you regain your power by bridging the gap between who you think you are right now and who you really are. In simple language, that is like making your childhood dreams come true. This is for those who want to make an impact in their lives but don't know how to get there. Be ensured, when you know and feel connected to your spiritual mind, you master your world.
What is your purpose as a father? What is your purpose as a friend? What is your purpose as a pilot? What is your purpose as a Be Empowered founder and facilitator? What is your purpose as a husband? When we apply 10-stage purpose development to each of those roles and relationships, expect the extraordinary in the connections that you're going to have. What happens is nobody that I have ever read or known will sit down and have a purpose as a father and choose 50 values that they want to honor their connection with their children, and then choose the empowerment principles so that they conquer anything in them that's going to prevent them from living those values for their children, and then sit there and write pages of narrative so that they live it. Who does that? Imagine someone, a mate of yours, who says, my purpose to you, Graham, as a friend, I have 50 values, Graham, that I chose to honor our connection, that are precious to me, because I want to be extraordinary for you, and I want our relationship to be extraordinary. It's pretty special, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's why it's not hard to conceive that you're going to get extraordinary relationships out of your purpose in those roles when you follow that purpose development template. And what happens with that is that creates the perfect platform, the fertile soil for your goals. That's the next level up in your purpose hierarchy. Because isn't that the foundation? Extraordinary relationships for your goals? Because now, what is your purpose to buy a house? What is your purpose to go on holidays? What is your purpose to start a business? What is your purpose to find a girl, have a beautiful relationship, get married, have children? All these things become easy to do when you know how to create, when you've got extraordinary relationships in your life and you know how to create them. So
I think, George, where a lot of people make a mistake is that they try to establish their goals before they actually go through this process, and therefore they don't have the magnet established in their life
that's
is drawing
a great insight.
Drawing relationships to themselves that actually serve them and work with them instead of against them.
Yeah, absolutely, Graham. And you know, to give perspective on what you just said, we don't get to purpose-based goals in EP7 until the 10th hour. The 10th hour of coaching or doing the course in retreats and groups. The 10th hour before you even entertain your goals. So you know, it just shows that we do rush into goals before we get the right order and sequence right of the why behind the goals and the values.
I think one of the problems is that we're being engineered to be a society that wants everything instantly. So, you know, we want to attract something without being an attractor.
Yeah, I think that there's probably a lot of goals, be achieving so that you can be seen as a success, so that you could feel good about yourself. So it's normally focused on how people are perceiving you more than how you choose to be, because they are the rules that you want to live by. So it's about building yourself from the inside out rather than being motivated by the pressures of how you're meant to be so that you can be given the tick that you're a success.
Before we go on, George, I just want to share with you that I've done a number of great interviews, and there's a guy called Adam Shaw that everybody should listen to. Adam is known as the heart guy, and he's an expert in heart attack, and he's
Wow.
worked with thousands of people, and he came to the conclusion that all degenerative diseases are caused by a lack of self-worth, which I found amazing. So
Well,
that really ties in with
perfect sense.
what you're saying, that there's a great connection between self-worth and our health and well-being.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, I don't know if I covered this in the first video, but the heart is quickly put on standby when the brain has been configured to expect drama and conflict, and so therefore it engages the stress response a lot, and it will therefore say, not now, heart, I just got to deal with this drama, we're in danger here, you know. But 99.9% of the drama is simply differences of opinion, fear of feeling devalued. None of this has got anything to do with you being physically under threat and needing to engage tight muscles, you know, at accelerated heart rate, sweat, and hyper alertness. You know, it's completely inappropriate response to simply ideas that are threatening your self-worth. So the brain is configured to keep saying to the heart, not now, not now. And unfortunately, it has the imagination to always see problems, and therefore the heart never gets a say. And unfortunately, we see that in status quo, rat race, road rage, struggle of stress, and chronic stress leads to chronic disease, and the heart gets neglected, the values are not being expressed, it gets broken. A heart attack is often linked to a broken heart. It's uncanny how many times you'll hear someone had a heart attack and they were broken-hearted because of a betrayal or a perceived betrayal. It's uncanny.
That's really powerful. That's exactly what Adam Shaw was saying. So it ties in.
Yeah.
George, I'd like to just go back to this this statement you made in the first video. You said, if you show someone the truth, they want the truth, and when they see it, they're set free. I'd just like to, I know we've already covered it, but it's so important for people to actually get a hold of this, because that is really the whole key, isn't it, of becoming aware and connecting with your own truth, and that truth will set you free.
Yeah, and I think that the way people can relate to that already from their own personal experiences is when they've had those epiphanies, those realizations, those in-awe moments where all of a sudden they knew they were never going to be the same again. They discovered something that resonated so strongly, it turned on the light bulb moment, and they knew they could never turn back to the old way of thinking because now they knew too much. That is really what that is, isn't it? So in many ways, most people can relate to that and go, actually, yes, the truth does set me free. I've already got a history of those moments, and they were turning points. And I went to the next level. It was a wisdom, that absolute collapsing and experiencing to wisdom where you'll never need to be that way again. That's that truth setting you free.
So, George, you're also an author. Do you want to tell us quickly about the books you've written?
Yes, look, the books that I have written, it started off with just me writing sayings and short paragraphs to get people thinking differently. And I did that initially reluctantly because the first book I published was really not meant to be me writing the words, but we couldn't get people who wrote good words we couldn't get in touch with them to use those words with beautiful images. And then I was already writing and texting friends and helping them, and I was getting all this feedback that it was changing their lives, and I had no idea. I was just sharing because I just wanted to, because it resonated with me and I thought it might make a difference, but I had no idea the difference it was making. You know, the olden days where you could just have a text and you just copy paste send. Yeah,
Yep.
this was back in the late 90s, that kind of old texting. And so I would do that for people when I found out they really liked it. And so what happened was I built a library of all these sayings, and then they made the first book. And that first book sold 40,000 odd copies now in Australia and New Zealand. So it really took off. And so we did the second one, and that was a bestseller too. But I thought to myself, I don't want to just write sayings. You know, I want the meat of my body of work now. So right now I'm halfway writing a book called On EP7. And the working title is called Journey to Genius. Because remember when I was saying about the purpose hierarchy? When you start having a purpose to yourself and then to your roles and relationships and then to your goals, it sets you on a journey of empowerment and higher purpose. And it gets you to the apex of where your signature essence, plus being expressed with full empowerment, takes you to a higher purpose of genius outcomes. In other words, people are so profoundly impacted by what you're doing, they start to say, wow, that's genius what you're doing. And see, the whole program is about the fact that you have genius within you. When you can turn on the real you with full empowerment, you're going to touch the world in your own unique way.
Absolutely.
And people are going to say that's genius to them. Not because you need to be a genius or you need some formal classification that you're a genius. Not at all. It's just that when people use the word genius, it just means you wanted to make a difference in people's lives, and there's your feedback. That's pretty pure knowledge, pure feedback of, wow, you really are reaching a higher level of making a difference, you know. So yeah, the working title is Journey to Genius. Journey to Genius. I don't know if that will end up being the title, but it's definitely about being empowered for purpose, and it will be the 7 steps, you know.
What about the title Angelic Dreams? Where did that come?
Angelic Dreams came because the photographer at the time, Bernard Rosa, he was great at photo fantasy. He could create beautiful angels out of real people and real wings and Photoshop and bring them together, and they looked spectacular. And he had a real taste for that romantic kind of classical period, you know. And so his images were profoundly beautiful, and so it was right to call it Angelic Dreams. And Angelic Dreams was almost like writing inspirational sayings that would help people be empowered, so that it's almost as if they're tapping into that angelic guidance. So yeah,
Excellent.
it was kind of like that, you know. It was a classic, beautiful gift book that was geared towards women who love something that's just beautiful, but also the words are poetic and inspiring. That's where Angelic Dreams came from.
Excellent. So what I can see from your EP7 coaching course is that people don't really understand their true value. They don't understand how to connect with their truth and feel worthy. And what I see in your course is that you're taking it step by step in a very systematic and logical method in order to bring them to that point where they do understand what it is. And that's why, you know, I can see such huge potential in what you're doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely, you're right. I did want it to be logical. I did want it to be a step-by-step approach. And I wanted everything I did to be backed with logic and credible information and the ability to prove that all 7 steps, every single claim, you've already lived. And let me prove it to you. There's nothing more powerful than showing the person that they've already lived what you're telling them is true.
Yeah.
Because then they just go, okay, fair enough, you just proved it to me. I'm going to lock that in. And now I'm going to leverage the benefit of that because I already had personal journey with that into other areas where I got tricked into partitioning that relevance and didn't allow it in and therefore could not be empowered.
I really know where you're coming from in when you see people connect with their truth. It's probably it's the most satisfying feeling that I've ever experienced. And you know, I've been an airline pilot for 40 years now, and I've had some pretty amazing experiences over that time. But there's nothing like this. I mean, to see people connect with their truth is the ultimate, I think.
Graham, you may take people to physical new heights, but the mental and emotional and soul level new heights, that's something else, isn't it?
It's amazing. And you know what I've discovered? It doesn't matter about religion. I've actually been coaching a lady from Sri Lanka, and I think she's Hindu. It doesn't really matter. But she has grasped this so profoundly that it's just transformed her life, and she'll be coming on this show in the next couple of months as a witness.
It's interesting. Yeah, you know, it's interesting you should say that because if it's pure and true, it shouldn't have to conflict with anything, and if it is conflicting, that might be because of misunderstanding and miscommunication. Because I'll give you an example. There was a lovely Christian couple, mother and son, who he was a professional kayaker. He wanted to train to go to the Olympics. So we started the program for him. And when we did step 1 and we looked at how you're bioengineered with the capacity to be extraordinary, and I took him through that whole process, he got uncomfortable. His mother was in the session and she absolutely loved it and got excited. But then when they went home, he was reluctant to come to the next session and she was mortified. And she called me, she goes, "What do we do, George? Like, I don't know why he's..." I go, "Look, let me talk to him." And he opened up and he was honest and he said, "George, I just feel like all these biological facts and how we're so powerful, I just feel like we're not acknowledging God. Really, God gives this to us, not us. We don't really get this power. God gives us this power." And I said to him, "Okay, so let me understand what you think God is to you in this situation. Is God more powerful and more loving if he gifts you with the bioengineering so that you have the capacity to dream and make your dreams come true, or have to keep praying and be drip-fed little bits at a time? Which one is the more loving, more powerful God?" And he went quiet for a little bit, which was a good sign, I knew. And he goes, "I get it. I get it." And he was back into the program with just fully aligned and no more, you know, anxiety that he was in some way disrespecting his God, you know. And that is the case with this program. There's no reason why anyone that can come from any faith. I've had people from Islam faith, Christian faith, all kinds of faith, atheists, everything. And ideally, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to bring it back down to pure knowledge, practical, everyday, so that we can see cause and effect in how it all hangs together, so that it's not about blind faith to help you connect to yourself and then go on a journey of being empowered to live a life that's dignified and rewarding, you know.
I find that our judgmental concepts of God is one of the things that actually creates that gap that we talk about.
Yeah, definitely our ideas get in the way of the truth that we're all united. We're all in the same boat. We're all here to experience life and to connect. And yeah, like obviously we get these weird insecure ideas, and if I'm going to attach evil to anything, I'd attach it to our insecurity. Because that's where it breeds from.
Absolutely.
The fear that we're not good enough and we have to protect, and us against them, and next thing you know, you got war. That's as evil as you get when you can justify mass killing, you know.
Well, George, I know we could talk all day, and I don't know about the audience out there, but I've been sitting on the edge listening to you, because I've studied this for many, many years, probably 25, 30 years, and I know the truth when I see it. And I do truly believe that what you're doing is a great, great model. This EP7 is structured so well to bring people to an understanding of who they are. So I just want to thank you. I want to commend you for your work, and I think it's wonderful.
Thank you, Graham. That means so much to me. And you know, with step 5, purpose, I could now explain to you step 6 and 7 with not as much detail, because I don't think we need as much detail for you to see how it all hangs together, you know. And so can you imagine being so clear about your purpose in step 5 with all the purpose development that you've done for your roles, relationships, goals, and your relationship to yourself, that now step 6 is about living on purpose. So now what we do is we move those little neural triggers that turn on the state that you rehearsed in the narrative and everything, and you're able to put them into your calendar so that you don't have appointments without you choosing to make sure you know how your heart is going to be in that appointment. Whether it's a coffee meeting, a meeting with a colleague, a client. So you're always putting your heart in everything you do, and it's rehearsed, right? And it's value rich. And also your to-do list. You don't have a to-do list without neural triggers so that you know the bigger picture of why you're doing these things, so that your heart can be in it too. If you can get your heart in it, the journey becomes as sweet as the destination. That's the key. And therefore, it's a sustainable journey. Now, obstacles are so easily dealt with because you expect them. You're geared from an abundant creative flow to move through them gracefully. And so that's why living on purpose doesn't become this anxiety of, can I do this? It becomes bring it on kind of attitude. And then also something awesome happens. You turn on the abundance. You don't allow time and money to ever get in the way of you living your purpose. Thanks to imagination and intuition, and thanks to the prep work, you now learn to multi-purpose task. You learn to layer all the different areas of your life into flow so that you're achieving a lot more with a lot less effort. And that makes life very exciting. And that's what step 6 is about. Step 7, environmental alignment, is making sure that we're practical and we have a solid strategy so that when we are reinventing ourselves and moving into a new way of being, we need to protect ourselves in that volatile stage because we can easily slip back into the old. So we've still got bad habits that are slowly will dissolve and new habits will lock in. So we need to protect that volatile stage. The way we do it is we look at aligning 4 environments. The first one was your heart. We learned its language. It had a lot to say. It spoke in values. But who would be the servant of the heart that we need to align to the heart? It's the brain. The brain then gets configured through the empowerment principles, the imagination, the personal assessment to evolve so that it truly aligns to serve the heart through thinking differently and making different decisions. But who would be the servant of the heart, of the brain that we need to align to? The body. Because isn't the body the one that's going to take the physical actions, develop the new habits, and collect the emotional experiences for the heart? But this body goes through a metamorphosis. And it's not about time, it's what you do in time, But it definitely is a process that often can take 6 to 8 weeks on average. It could happen in a day, it can happen longer than that. But what's happening there is literally your biochemistry is changing. Old receptor sites that crave the old way of being, that cellular memory of the old way of being, are dissolving, and the new is forming. So let's protect that, because if you trigger the old, the body will go, whoa, 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 we're still in the old reality. Brain, protect us, and it will force the brain to go back to the old thinking. So what do we need to do? We need to look at where these buttons get pushed from. And that comes from aligning the external environment where those buttons come from. So we do an environmental audit. We look at everything that supports our empowerment and purpose and everything that's clashing with it. And we hold our environment as a sacred space where we know that those repetition of environmental signals are immersing us, and we become a product of our environment. So what we need to do is choreograph that environment so it supports the new version of us and does not stimulate the old version of us. So through the environmental audit, we choreograph to spend a lot more time with the stuff that supports us, and we come up with ways to mitigate those things that clash with us. We've got all those strategies in step 7 to do that. So we've got a plan, and then we roll that plan into the purpose developer so that we narrate and rehearse how we're going to deal with it, and we've got new purpose-based goals to help us lock in and create permanent change. So every time we reinvent ourselves, environmental alignment helps us to make sure that that reinvention gets locked in. And that's step 7.
That's wonderful.
So that's it.
If somebody's listening, George, who really resonates with this, how can, well, my question is, can you help people online with this, or does it have to be one-to-one coaching?
Okay. No, not at all. It doesn't have to be one-on-one coaching at all. I'll let you know where I'm at with how EP7 now is going out into helping people. One-on-one coaching has been going on for 3 years. I'm now training coaches to become EP7 certified. I've got a team of coaches in November that will be the first batch. I've already trained one in the beta stage. Now I've got several that are ready to become EP7 coaches. I plan to probably do 150 odd coaches in the next 18 months. You know, so they'll then offer their services locally and online. I've now launched EP7 seminars here locally, so that I'm starting an EP7 course for people in Subiaco, for example, in Perth. But in the same light, I'm going to do webinars so that people have free webinars to go through the 7 steps in a more interactive way where they can ask questions. But then we do a 7-step webinar program so that they can do it online. But now I'm also looking at retreats so that you could go to Thailand for a whole week, do 7 steps in 7 days, and go home a completely different person equipped with different tools. So I'm preparing all these things now, and so if anyone is watching this video and wants to stay in touch with these opportunities, they can go to mindpowercoach.com and they could register, or even /EP7, leave their details, get the brochure, and then what I'll do is I'll keep them in touch with, you know, overseas retreats and online webinars, so that if they're interested in keeping up to date with those opportunities, I'll do that. You know, they'll get that from me.
Excellent. And of course, if they want to read any of your books, they can go to Amazon and download them from Amazon.
Yeah, I think you can buy those books and they can be delivered to you online. I'm planning to finish my book by the end of the year, Journey to Genius. It's already half written, so we're getting there. You know, I'm looking forward to that book being finished, and then that will be available through you know, audiobooks through iTunes and everything else, and Amazon and all that. And then I want to do that as an audio book as well. You know? So definitely, everyone will be in touch with these as they come out if you leave your details on mindpowercoach.com.
Sure.
Yeah, that's the way to plug in.
So you've got a lot coming down the tube, and I would personally like to highly recommend this to everybody. As I said, I've been involved in this type of thing for many years now, and George Helou has come up with a great opportunity here to really learn how to connect with yourself and connect with your own truth. So George, I think we'll wind it up here. It's been a fantastic conversation with you, and I've really enjoyed it. Is there anything you want to leave with the people out there before we wind this up?
Yeah, look, all I can say is you can have the life your heart yearns for. The only thing that is that's standing in between you and the life your heart yearns for is bad ideas that are simply lodged into your subconscious, but they got there through a process, and they can therefore be undone through a process. And you know the truth deep within you. So the moment you start to latch on to these great ideas that replace the disempowering ones, you are going to be set free. You're going to come more into your own power. So don't let this life pass you by and shortchange your purpose. You're here for a reason. Your beautiful body doesn't hang together for the hell of it. You deserve quality experiences. You deserve to grow, and you deserve your heart to feel expanded in this life, so that when you look back and you've come to the twilight of your life, you're going to have the biggest smile on your face, because you're going to know you lived it to the depth of your being. So that's the message I want to get out there, that let personal development be a part of your everyday, because you will harvest the rewards of learning how to reinvent yourself. And you know, we're all in it together, and we all benefit when we all become more truer to ourselves and live our dreams. That synergy creates incredible abundance, so that we all give with such passion and such uniqueness of gifts. Will circulate between us all, and yeah, talk about enriching our life just by being empowered for our purpose. And I want to thank you, Graham, because you've made this connection in these two videos a pleasure for me to share, and yeah, I'm excited that you are connecting to everything that I was saying in it, and for you to have that 35-40 years of journey of personal development and hear everything that I've shared in a short period relative to the immersion you've had, and have the impression that you've come away with, yeah, that really, I'm grateful for that, and thank you for expressing that.
Excellent. I received that, George, and I thank you. Can I just have the name of your new book again once more?
Journey to Genius is the new book title. It is a working title, but I'm open to keeping that, you know, the way. If I change it, I'll let you know.
Okay, so I'd like to thank everybody for joining the Be Empowered show. I'm your host, Graham Hopkins. Before we go, I'd like to ask a big favour of you. If people could go to iTunes and leave a review, if this interview, for instance, has really resonated with you, then if you leave a review on iTunes, it'll increase the ratings on iTunes and make this message become available to more people. As George said, keep an eye out for his new book, Journey to Genius. I will definitely be reading that one. And if you want to know more about the concepts that George and I have shared today, you can read his book or his books. You can also go to Amazon and download my book called The Manifesto of Your Inspirational Mind, or you can download a free ebook at www.beempoweredgroup.com called Know Your True Value and Worth. So on behalf of George and myself, we'd really like to wish you a wonderful future of freedom, peace, abundance, as you connect with your values. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to the Be Empowered podcast. For more on regaining your power by bridging that gap between who you think you are right now and who you really are, go to www.beempoweredgroup.com and enter your name and email address to receive a free ebook and get notified of any upcoming podcasts. Remember, when you know and feel connected to your spiritual mind, you master your world. Changing your energy transforms your life.